From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Evening Edition.
Now at 6, another tragedy at Big Sur after high surf swept 3 people into the water yesterday. We're hearing from a diver who is warning of the danger.
Plus, a food chain is moving into Sebastopol despite local laws against it. How Little Caesars slipped through the cracks.
And will they or won't they? Why Berkeley has been going back and forth on holding its annual holiday fair. Live from the CBS studios in San Francisco on this Sunday night, I'm Brian Hackney.
And I'm Andrea Nakano. A week after a man and his daughter drowned when they were swept into the ocean in Monterey, authorities are now searching for another man who was pulled into the water in the same area.
Happened yesterday afternoon about 8 miles south of Carmel at Soberano's Point. 2 women and 1 man were swept off the rocks into the ocean. The women were able to get to safety, but the man did not resurface.
The survivors were taken to the hospital, and we heard from a private rescue diver on the scene. He says that people need to be more aware when visiting the area.
They don't know the area, they don't know how the ocean moves, and they don't anticipate those bigger waves.
Heredia also helped with the search last week. A Canadian man and his 7-year-old daughter were pulled into the ocean by 15 to 20-foot waves. He told us he found the child and brought her remains back to shore.
All this happens as the National Weather Service issued hazardous beach conditions along the coast, and Darren's got the latest. Darren?
And that is the entire coast, Brian. Take a look at the virtual map and you'll see there is a bright blue, a strip going down the entire coastline from Mendocino well down to Big Sur, south of Carmel, where we've been having all the trouble for the last week now. 2 separate incidences with people getting pulled out. The thing about dangerous surf like this is it's very easy to take things for granted when the weather gets as nice as it's been. And the last couple of days has been pretty nice. So you're thinking, all right, there's no storm. It's not even windy out. How are the waves going to be dangerous? And these are swells that are coming from storms that existed like 3 days ago, 4 days ago in the Gulf of Alaska. That wave energy takes much longer to reach us than it does from the atmosphere. The clouds can get here a lot faster, but you can see what that wave energy looks like as it approaches. It takes its time to really cross an expanse of the Pacific. So this stays in effect until tomorrow night at 10 o'clock. We all got the day off tomorrow, or at least many people do, because we're going into a big holiday weekend. If you do happen to have Monday off as an early part of this weekend, make sure you're being very careful if you're going to be anywhere near our beaches, or if you're bringing friends and family to go look at the coast on what's going to be otherwise a nice day to do it. Sneaker waves are a very real possibility, so don't turn your back on the waves. I'll be back with our forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Guys, back to you.
All righty, Darren, thanks. Well, to change gears, Little Caesars Pizza is hot and ready to move into Sebastopol. But some neighbors are ice cold about it. People say they do not want chain restaurants in their little town.
On top of all of this, even city officials say it shouldn't be there. But how did this all happen? Val Lynn explains.
Business owner Francesca Malera-Balak loves Sebastopol for its small shops, local flavors, and a downtown that doesn't look like anywhere else. That's why this surprised her.
Disappointing that big mistake like this will go through.
The city admits it accidentally approved a Little Caesars in the downtown core, even though chain stores have been banned there since 2018. And for Francesca, who owns Attical, a consignment furniture store, this isn't about pizza. It's about what Sebastopol stands for.
Something like that, I don't know. It doesn't add to the charm of the place, and it will bring away maybe business from somebody who is, who maybe has a higher quality of ingredients.
City leaders say they discovered the mistake only after Little Caesars had already begun building out the space, and by then they couldn't legally stop the project.
It's an error. The city of Sebastopol has taken ownership and admitted we made an error, an administrative error, an approval, but Little Caesars, I guess, took that approval and ran with it and started making improvements. And so they had a vested interest by the time we realized our error, and we had to let them move forward.
But not everyone sees it as a problem. Some younger residents told us they're glad to have a cheap, quick option.
For me specifically, I do like it. Gotcha. Because big fan of it.
They believe competition is healthy, and for them, price matters.
I mainly just like it because it's cheap. It's not really like the best food, but it's cheap enough for me.
Councilwoman Nisa Hinton says at this point, it's up to the customers.
The consumer now will decide whether they like it or not with their pocketbook. I mean, I point out we don't have a Burger King and we don't have a McDonald's in Sebastopol. They both went out of business.
What do I think about Little Caesars? I don't think it's necessarily a part of our community here in Sebastopol. There's a lot better pizza to be had in Sebastopol, so that's where I'll be going.
Steve DeCoste runs the only pizza restaurant in the downtown core. He's not thrilled, but he's not losing sleep over it either.
We're just building a resilient community, one pizza at a time. And so it won't impact us because of the quality of what we do. And we're really supported by our community and they understand this.
As for Francesca, she says what matters now is making sure the next application doesn't slip through the cracks.
Original as possible so that people come into town and they see new stores that are unique.
The city says it's added safeguards to make sure this kind of mistake doesn't happen again. As for Little Caesars, it plans to open its doors to the public sometime in the coming week.
In Oakland, a church is making sure families in need have food on the table this Thanksgiving. 100 turkeys were given away by the Grand Advent Seventh-day Adventist Church. It also included holiday meal, food baskets, and one organizer says this hits close to home.
I know what it's like to be hungry. I know what it's like to have no electricity. So to do this, I feel happy because I'm meeting a need that's needed.
It's a blessing. Some people, it's rare to have good people in the world, and they're just angels. They're helping us and helping families.
The church gave away 50 turkeys last year. They plan on giving away 200 turkeys next year.
Well, as the Bay Area gears up for the Christmas shopping rush, one tradition in Berkeley almost came to an end. The annual Telegraph Holiday Street Fair was nearly canceled for running afoul of a new city fire code.
But in what feels like a Christmas miracle, the city has backed down. John Ramos has the story.
Here on Telegraph Avenue, the city of Berkeley was ascribing to the old notion that you can never be too safe. But after some public outcry, it looks like cooler heads have prevailed. The Telegraph Avenue Holiday Street Fair was gearing up for its 42nd year, offering homemade gifts and live music when they got the bad news. The city said the event would have to move because of a state fire code that requires 26 feet of clear roadway on streets with buildings over 30 feet high. That's to allow ladder trucks to utilize their stabilizing outriggers in case of a fire. Berkeley resident Charles Siegel co-authored an op-ed piece appealing to the city's common sense.
That doesn't really work in Berkeley because in Berkeley, the typical street has only 22 feet of clear roadway. And it's just not realistic. It's not going to happen. We'd have to move parking on one side of the street of almost all the two-lane streets in downtown and South Campus, and all the residential streets that have apartment buildings.
Siegel discovered that the 26-foot rule was optional and that the code wasn't being enforced the rest of the year, just during the Telegraph Street Fair and for the Juneteenth parade on Adeline Street. Siegel was upset that the enforcement seemed selective and arbitrary.
City staff said, we're applying the law and we are moving the street festival away from Telegraph Avenue, and the Telegraph Avenue Street Fair will be on this block of Adeline Street where there are no buildings over 30 feet tall.
But the Telegraph Avenue businesses think the Telegraph Avenue Holiday Fair needs to happen on Telegraph Avenue. Doris Moskowitz owns Moe's Books, and she also wrote a letter of complaint to the city.
I understand that it's important to be safe, but I also think it's important to be happy and to have a little bit of hope and to feel good this time of year. And that people are looking to Berkeley as a place where people have a sort of sense of actually what's reasonable.
Perhaps Doris's letter did the trick, or maybe it was all the other people who complained, but the city relented and approved the permit for the street fair to happen on Telegraph as usual. Louis Cuneo is one of the street vendors selling artistic photographs and has been participating in the holiday fair since the 1980s. He says people feel the street fair is important to give the city life.
It was too much of an outcry against it. The city has to be a little open to possibilities.
I think in Berkeley we need to make room for everybody, and if the vendors who've been coming here for over 40 years want to come here, we need to make that possible.
So the 42nd annual Telegraph Holiday Fair will continue, and Siegel says the city is crafting a new fire code that may include an exemption for street fairs citywide.
The city is expected to take up the matter on December 3rd. Meantime, the street fair will begin on the 6th through the 21st.
And coming up, food is getting more expensive, so one bakery in Monterey is rising to the occasion to help those who can't afford it. Details coming up next. Well, we are right in the middle of our annual Food for Bay Area Families initiative. That's when KPIX partners with local food banks to make sure that they've got the resources they need to feed people. In Pacific Grove, there's a local bakery stepping up to help the food bank of Monterey in a big way. Veronica Macias has more.
If it's Saturday morning, this is where to find Paul Wainscoat at Pavel's Bakery in Pacific Grove. There's a line out the door, and after years in business, they're now only open 1 day a week.
It can get really busy, especially around holidays.
Prices for ingredients have gone up, so he's raised some things by $1. Yet for people who are stretching every dollar they have, there's the free ciabatta.
What we're doing here, we just put it by the window. You don't have to show your identification or anything. If you need a loaf of bread, come by and take it. And it's catching on. I know a couple of bakeries are starting to do it as well, which is great.
His generosity also catching on with customers.
Really, the cost of this is labor, and my wife and I do all the labor.
One cinnamon roll, one bear claw.
And then we have customers that are giving us money to put towards it. So that goes to the food bank.
It's cash only here, no credit cards for the giant pastries. If you come up short, don't worry. His policy is to pay the next time around. Some who don't make it back, remaining honest, even mailing in checks.
I'm proud. I appreciate the flexibility and the kindness and the understanding that this place does implement.
Most of all, it's providing support for those who were furloughed and lost SNAP benefits.
What's really sad is that we've accepted that people can live without a home, but they can't live without food. So we still have that power.
That power, he says, like his bread, will expand the more people decide to do something and help.
And if you want to support our Food for Bay Area Families initiative, scan the QR code on your screen. You'll be able to donate food or funds or your time to food banks across the Bay Area, or you could just head to kpix.com/give. Time now to get to the forecast. Darren Peck is in for that, Darren.
Not necessarily the prettiest day out there. I think the weather was good by many people's standard. There was plenty of sunshine by the afternoon. Temperatures were pretty much average. But for a lot of people, the sun never came out. Look at the North Bay. You're looking at the last several hours of satellite on here. Napa Valley's over here. We've got Santa Rosa, Petaluma, Healdsburg, all over there. Never really cleared. City finally got some sun as we got into the afternoon. The beaches finally got some sun. But there were just places where there was this persistent patch of gray. Look at the time lapse. In addition to the clouds hanging out, there was also this layer of haze that was out there, much more than we'd seen. That's classic winter Bay Area haze. Wood-burning fire stoves are starting to go. And when you take the current weather pattern that we have and match that with wood-burning fire stoves, and by the current weather pattern that we have, we're pretty much looking at a dominant center of high pressure, which is set up shop over pretty much the entire part of California, really. But there's enough centered here at the Bay. When you get a big ridge like this, This is showing you that's downward deflected air. This is high pressure because it is exerting a higher pressure down on the ground. So when that happens, you can kind of trap layers of fog that develop early. You can also put a lid on the atmosphere so that when wood-burning fireplaces go, it's not going to disperse. It just gets stuck in one place. Let me show you what this looked like. We'll come over here if we can. And let's pull that monitor up and switch it from that vantage point. Apologize, the map looks a little washed out there, but look what happens when we switch and we put the actual sensors on there. That's from just about 30 minutes ago. Air quality readings. There's a lot of moderate on here. We hadn't seen that for a while. So this is what happens when the wood-burning fireplaces start going under a center of high pressure like what we just looked at. And there's no air quality advisory yet, and we're not under a spare the air yet, but it's coming. This pattern, you probably noticed it today if you looked out at all. Let's head back to the virtual set. You probably noticed it if you looked out at all today, that it looked hazy in conjunction with that pretty persistent batch of clouds that was hanging out there all day. So we're going to see a little more of that tomorrow. Let's go for the wider view. And if we can come over this way, come on over this way. We want to get a view down in the San Joaquin Valley. And you're going to watch how there's a fog advisory for pretty much the entire Central Valley tomorrow. Not us. Now you kind of see where we are when you look at where we're oriented. We can get some cities on there and watch the fog fill in tomorrow. It's pretty much going to take over for the entire Central Valley once again, but we're going to see our fair share up here as well at home. Tule fog is going to be widespread, but we're going to have a mixed bag of our own little advection fog that'll come in through the bay, and we'll also get some that's radiation fog that we develop here, and we'll have a mixed bag once again tomorrow. However gray it is to start your day, it's not staying that way. It will clear out, and you'll get more sunshine, much like you did today, and temperatures will warm back up into the mid-60s. But to start things, you're going to be looking at morning lows that are, once again, tomorrow. You're going to start out kind of on the cool side. You'll be down into the mid-40s, very much like you were today. All right, let's go to the 7-day forecast. No rain. I've been spending all this time talking about morning fog and haze. Most people want to know about this. The holiday looks great, so we didn't spend much time talking about it because I'm done talking about it now. There's nothing there. No rain. Temperatures are going to stay in the low to mid-60s. See you with more on this coming up in the next half hour.
From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Evening Edition.
And good evening. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is in Switzerland this weekend, meeting with European and Ukrainian officials to hammer out a possible peace deal that would bring the war between Russia and Ukraine to an end. CBS News' Willie James Inman is in Washington with the latest.
President Trump issued a message on social media Sunday taking aim at Ukraine, days after the U.S. proposed a peace plan to end Russia's war with Ukraine. On Truth Social, the president wrote, "I inherited a war that should have never happened. Ukraine leadership has expressed zero gratitude for our efforts." U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio was in Switzerland for talks with Ukrainian and European leaders regarding a possible peace deal.
I think this is a very, very meaningful, I would say probably best meeting and day we've had so far in this entire process, going back to when we first came into office in January.
The U.S. 28-point proposal would end the war, but force Ukraine to give up a fifth of its territory, some under Russian occupation. Ukraine would also have to shrink its military about a third and be barred from joining NATO.
This plan is not about the justice and the truth of this war and the aggression.
Several U.S. lawmakers have expressed concern about the proposal as well.
It is a horrible deal for Ukraine, for our allies, and even for our own national security. If Putin gets the chance with that deal to, rearm, rebuild his economy, and gained territory, by the way, that's what he wanted. Well, then the Baltics, Poland, Romania, all those other countries down the line are at threat.
President Trump is pushing Ukraine and Russia to commit to a peace deal by Thanksgiving Day. In a statement today, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky thanked President Trump and European partners.
U.S. and Ukrainian officials say discussions are underway that might bring President Zelensky to the U.S. this week. It's part of President Trump's push to get an agreement on Ukraine by Thanksgiving. Andrea?
Well, sources tell CBS News that the Trump administration is preparing to ramp up its crackdown on Venezuela. That could include additional military action. Officials say the goal is to stop drug trafficking and weaken Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro's regime. One option is being considered is dropping leaflets on Venezuela's capital as a form of psychological warfare. This morning on Face the Nation, Senator Rand Paul said some lawmakers have suggested declaring war, but that the administration has kept them in the dark.
And we said, if it's war, let's declare it as war. Let's have this discussion. Is it war or not? And the administration refused that. They want to have it both ways. They want to say, oh, we can just say these people are terrorists, they're narco-terrorists, so we can blow them up. And I've been given zero, not one briefing, because I'm skeptical of what they're doing.
In recent months, the U.S. has increased pressure on Venezuela with a larger military presence in the region, live fire exercises, and strikes on alleged drug boats.
And how do people feel about all this? Well, a new poll from CBS News shows that Americans are divided over the boat strikes. Just over half approve of the attacks, driven by nearly universal support among Republicans. But Americans overwhelmingly say they need more evidence that drugs are actually on board. Across party lines, majorities say the Trump administration needs to explain what they're planning to do. Nearly all Democrats and 2/3 of Republicans are asking for more transparency about Venezuela. And the poll also shows that most people don't think that Venezuela is a threat to national security. Instead, nearly half see it as a minor threat, and around 40% don't think that Venezuela is a threat at all. Most are also largely opposed to potential military action.
Some relief may soon be coming for tens of thousands of TSA workers as the holidays approach. A spokesperson says about 90% of the workers have received back pay now that the government shutdown is over. The rest will receive their back pay tomorrow. TSA workers missed several paychecks during the shutdown, and some TSA agents at several airports received a $10,000 bonus. It was given to them by the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. She says the TSA agents went above and beyond while working during the government shutdown.
We have an opportunity here to bless our folks with rewards for their hard work and to recognize that part of the strength of the Department of Homeland Security, part of the strength of the United States of America are the people who show up each and every day committed to serving each other.
Noem also announced the department will be investing more than $1 billion in new technology and security systems at airports across the country. Meanwhile, holiday travel is underway at airports across the country. The FAA expects the Thanksgiving travel period to be the busiest in 15 years. Tuesday is expected to be the peak travel day with more than 52,000 flights. SFO predicts 6.3 million people will travel between Thanksgiving and New Year's. That's up 4% from the same period last year. Brian?
Well, Andrea, good news if you're looking to sell your car. Or bad news if you're in the market to buy one. The average cost of a used car is now just under $25,000, according to Carfax. That's an 18-month high. Kenny Choi takes a closer look at what is driving the surge in prices.
Increasing inventory continues to be a challenge for some used car dealerships.
Normally, at any given time, we'll have about all of these cars, these spots we filled, we'll have a row of cars here. The garage packed.
Omid Khalili has been selling cars for 17 years and says the numbers aren't where they should be. His coworker Don Davis is in his 47th year.
Every car sale is unique.
Thank you for calling Redwood Credit Union.
They both say inventory at Marin Motors in Santa Fe is relatively low.
It's slim pickings. It's not the same anymore. The inventory is not there.
The latest data from Carfax shows that average used car prices have climbed to their highest point in 18 months to just under $25,000. That means shoppers are paying around $1,300 more for the average used vehicle than they would have just a year and a half ago. Brian Moody is executive editor at Kelley Blue Book Auto Trader.
The San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose area at those prices being about 4.5% higher than the rest of similar-sized cities across the country.
The ripple effects of reduced new car sales during the pandemic mean there are fewer used cars available today, according to Carfax. That means it could be a good time to sell, especially if you have an extra car.
Any dealership would be happy to take a car that someone's looking to sell, bring it to a dealership first.
Industry experts say typically a 3-year-old car loses about 40% of its value. Analysts at Carfax say the price gap between new and used cars right now is unusually narrow for some models, and that buying new could be the better option. Khalili and Davis just sold this 2019 Mercedes-Benz.
I think it's great. Hopefully it fits me well.
However the numbers fluctuate, they say they're focused on making their customers feel whole when leaving the lot.
If you're not having fun, you're not enjoying it, and the people that are selling you the car aren't feeling like they're with you, don't spend your hard-earned money there.
They've been in the used car business long enough to navigate the ups and downs of the market.
Well, coming up, VTA construction might be causing some growing pains for San Jose, especially local businesses. Details are up next. The VTA is extending its light rail line in East San Jose, which will connect the East Ridge station directly with the BART station in Milpitas. When it's done, the VTA promises easier movement within the South Bay. But right now, with construction underway, it appears to be doing the exact opposite. Len Ramirez heard from businesses in the Capitol Corridor who say customers have stopped showing up.
At lunchtime, La Gruyenza Mexican restaurant in East San Jose should be buzzing. Instead, it's empty.
There's empty tables back there, not a single customer. Today was probably one of the slowest days we've had.
Owner Fernando Galindo says the drop-off happened almost overnight when construction for the Valley Transportation Authority's light rail extension started right across the street. What used to be a quick stop for regulars is now a gridlocked maze of bumper-to-bumper traffic, detours, and closures.
As soon as that construction hit, we saw the dip immediately. And more of the fact because they started blocking the exit right here in the entrance and causing people like, are this shopping center open or not?
And what about business from the dozens of construction crews on site each day?
Oh yeah, we do get a lot of construction workers, a lot of the construction workers from there, but to use the restroom, not to buy anything, because they bring their own food from home.
A few doors down, different storefronts, same story. A cartoon character on the sidewalk twirls a sign begging drivers to stop, but the small businesses inside this strip mall say they don't, and it's become a fight for survival.
You too.
At Fast Pizza Delivery, the lights are on and the ovens are hot, but the cash register runs cold.
That's a for sale. $1.25. We lost a lot of business, at least, our businesses, at least we lost around like a 60 to 70% right now, yes.
Wahida is running the shop alone while her husband recovers from an illness. The couple is now paying rent and utilities out of their own pocket month after month.
As far as my pocket, I see like maybe a couple of months, or maybe I cannot gonna afford it anything more than a couple of months.
The VTA's major construction project will extend light rail service a few more miles south, eventually connecting the East Ridge Mall with job centers and transit hubs across Santa Clara County.
It is a large project. It is inconvenient, but we really have done work out of concern for the community to try to minimize those inconveniences.
Ken says VTA is trying to stay responsive with a mobile office trailer for community concerns and a newly approved program that could reimburse some small businesses that can prove lost revenue caused by construction. The program is still being finalized.
We would expect that sometime early in the year, maybe even as early as January, we would come back with a plan.
What can I get you?
As for Fernando, a rare moment of hope, a regular customer braved the delays to get here.
For the burritos, it's worth it. Yes, obviously, I love their food.
Fernando flips through the day's receipts, a thin stack compared to what he used to make. DoorDash and delivery apps are what's keeping him afloat.
9 to 3 p.m., anywhere from $900 to $1,500. Now, we're selling $300, $250.
VTA says road closures should decrease as construction shifts to building the elevated tracks. But for businesses here, every day counts. They say surviving until that payoff becomes a reality may be the biggest challenge of all.
And coming up, a Fremont ranch got an unexpected visitor. Not a mountain lion, not a raccoon, but, well, where will you see what showed up on the ranch when we come back? And welcome back. You know, it's hard to imagine, but between 6 to 8 million dogs and cats are abandoned every year in the U.S., and we're fast approaching the time when people give animals as gifts. Rarely a good idea, but all sorts of other animals are given up as well. Just wait till you see the one that popped up on one family's land near Fremont. Heading up into the East Bay Hills from Mission Boulevard, Chris gets ready to start another day.
We're up in the Mission Fremont Hills. We're about 10 miles east of downtown Fremont.
He's on the ranch that's been in the family for years.
Yeah, it's our family property. Yeah, our dad picked it up at a foreclosure auction in the 70s.
A lot of critters roam these hills.
We have coyotes, bobcats, raccoons, the occasional mountain lion, and then there's an alpaca that somebody just dropped off one day. Just showed up.
Yep. Incredibly, this guy was just dumped on the ranch.
Sometimes they're surrendered to us because people just can't handle it.
It's a story the Marin Humane Society's all too familiar with. So where are we headed?
We're going to go to the barn.
Lisa Block is director of marketing.
We have a barn and a paddock, and we don't usually get a lot of barnyard animals, but on occasion we do. Yeah. Oh, look at Bibi. Oh, he's beautiful.
Lisa's got a theory about why someone would pick up large farm animals in the first place, because they sure look cute on Snapchat.
We see a baby llama, we think, oh, I want that. Wouldn't that be fun? And the next thing you know, you have a very large llama that you don't know how to care for, or a rooster that maybe you're not even allowed to have.
We've got 3 alpaca ourselves, actually, but we let them roam and do their thing. You're okay, buddy. Go to your brothers.
If they're very lucky.
That's a happy piggy.
Unwanted animals end up with this guy.
Yeah, Matt Robin, Rancho Robin Rescues. We're a farm animal sanctuary. We take care of approximately 250 farm animals that have been abandoned, neglected, abused, and we give them a forever home. All right, come and get it.
Sometimes they're simply surrendered as being too much to handle.
But oftentimes it's somebody who just kind of drives it in the middle of the mountains and lets it go, which we've had many an animal show up here that way. Yeah, get it. Oh, you dropped it.
It's often because someone has not done their homework before they acquired that animal.
It might explain why an alpaca was abandoned in the hills of Fremont. But that's just piling one bad decision on top of another.
We always try to remind people that if you're overwhelmed, there is help. You can always call your local animal shelter. If they can't take in the animal, they can refer you to rescue.
For you and for you.
And there are a lot of farm sanctuaries and barnyard rescues now, which are fantastic.
Good boy.
Including the one run by Matt.
Oh, is that yummy?
Do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share?
Please keep your alpaca to yourself.
We know they look cute on Instagram, and everybody wants their own TikTok channel with their baby llamas and emus and things like that. Baby emus are very cute, but it's just not fair to the animals. So we hope people will just reach out for advice first. On cue.
Cute. All right, great story. All right, we kind of walked through a door today weather-wise. Think of it, this is the way I think of it anyway. Everyone's free to make their own choice. Meteorological winter starts on December 1st. Then there's astronomical winter. That's like the official winter. That was December 21st. And then you could say the start of winter happens when we get our first good storm, maybe. Usually it happens around Halloween. Or you could say it's when the sky looks like this. Did you notice today? This was the first day of this season that we had it. That telltale classic haze that just hung over the bay. You could see the inversion trapping everything in, and you just kind of it changes the color of the light. You get that, it's just a different feel. It just looked more like we were now well within the grips of winter. It wasn't necessarily cold, it just had the look. High pressure's in charge right now. We talked about that in the last visit, but what it's doing is it's put a lid, and it is trapping everything we put into the air, a lot of that is coming from wood-burning fireplaces, not all of it. We're doing okay on air quality, by the way. We don't have any air quality advisories. There's no spare the air, but that's your sign. Those are likely coming. And it's also, sign of the season. We're going to do that a lot over the next few months. Today was really the first day where it showed up. The other thing about today was the clouds never cleared. So on top of the haze, look at first of all, the whole Central Valley woke up to Thule fog that didn't really want to give up much either. And the North Bay Valley, which kind of behaves somewhat similar to the Central Valley this time of year, where you've got your own kind of radiation fog that develops in those wet interior valleys. And then, of course, you've also got the stuff coming in through the Petaluma Gap, so you're getting it from both sides. You never got sun in the North Bay today. Most every other place did. Here's what happens tomorrow. This is now the Futurecast showing you how the fog's going to fill in again tomorrow. Probably be a repeat of this. It's one thing to have it give you gray skies. When this really gets serious is if it's fog on the ground and then on the road. That's a real big issue out there in the Central Valley. That stuff is life-threatening with the Thule fog, having to drive through it. We didn't have too much of that this morning. It is the inland East Bay. So come on for a close-up look here to inland Contra Costa County. We had some patchy fog down on the ground down here over the course of this morning. Might do it again tomorrow. And by the way, look at the valleys up there going through the North Bay. That's 8 a.m. You could hit some patchy fog there tomorrow. So that's probably the most important part of it, besides, that it sets the mood. You have to drive through it, so just be real careful. Okay, back down to the low and mid 40s for temperatures tomorrow. And when we look at where we're going to be for daytime highs, let's go to the 7-day for that, because those are not changing. And we are now locked into a winter rut where the storms aren't coming around. You don't get hazy skies like that when we're within the storm cycle. That settles in when high pressure is in control and we're not getting rain and nothing to come break up that inversion. And that's where we are. And when we do that, we just kind of lock in the numbers. No rain. Oh, Thanksgiving's in there, by the way. This is probably the most important part of the whole forecast. And there's no problem. Thanksgiving it's you're a go. Whatever your travel plans are, if you got people coming in or going out on either the leading edge of the weekend or the back edge of it, there are no weather challenges at all. All right, guys, back to you.
All righty, thank you, Darren. Coming up next, a look inside this village of tiny homes and how it's helping folks get back on their feet after living on the streets. That's next. Back, San Francisco is seeing some promising results from this village of tiny homes.
Operators say it fills the need for temporary housing without having to build permanent structures. Lauren Tom spoke with one resident hoping to soon find a place of his own.
I had a really bad problem with drugs for a long time. I was mixing heroin, fentanyl, crystal meth, and cocaine together and shooting it, and like 20 times a day. It was like ridiculous.
For most of his life, Bryce Sterling had been stuck in a cycle of addiction and homelessness, a story playing out across the Bay Area every day. But here at San Francisco's tiny home community on 33 Goff, he says something finally changed.
I've been able to save up almost $2,000 since I've stopped using drugs. Through my doctor's office, I got one of the ladies there, I told them I wanted to go to work, and they all thought I was crazy. They're like, dude, you're not ready. I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. I'm there.
Bryce has lived here since May of last year, inside one of the 70 private cabins operated by Urban Alchemy. And he's not alone in his comeback. The group says 128 people who once lived here have now moved on to permanent housing, a number Supervisor Matt Dorsey, who oversees much of SOMA in the Tenderloin, calls a success.
I think this is something that we need to look at as a cost-effective solution. It may not be the cheapest solution, but it's certainly not the most expensive. And if it's true, and it seems to be so far, that this is something that is really doing what we want supportive housing to be doing, helping people get up on their own feet and find success elsewhere, that's great. That's exactly what we should be doing as a city.
It cost about $32,000 per cabin annually to run the community. That cost more than a congregate shelter, but far less than building a new permanent structure. Dorsey says that makes it a smart stopgap in a city desperate for housing options. 33 Goff is one of several tiny home communities on leased land that would otherwise sit empty as developers wait on permits and financing. And because the cabins are modular, the entire village can be picked up and rebuilt somewhere else, carrying carrying its community with it.
At any given time in San Francisco, there are projects that we're just waiting for the financing to pencil out so that the thing can get going. Until then, we've got land that's usable, that's convenient, that we could be using for a good purpose. And certainly when we're seeing the success that 33 Golf has offered, that's a good use of that land.
Success for Bryce looks like joining the 128 former residents who now have a place to call home.
As soon as that comes through, my life will be pretty much perfect.
And for the first time in his life, he says he can see that future.
We shall see. In the meantime, thanks for watching. 60 Minutes is next.
Until then, the news continues streaming on CBS News Bay Area. See you at 11.